Thanks, guys. Happy Friday afternoon. Got a nice little slate of Saturday games. Let's start with OKC at Detroit. That's going to be a 5 o'clock Eastern tip-off at Little Caesars. The betting markets open this one up with the Thunder as the 3-point favorites, and the total at 204.5. And since the betting opened up in this one, we've seen a lot of movement across the board. A lot of books getting action on this game. A lot of line movement on this game as well. Right now, OKC's -4 against the spread, with the total moving all the way up to an even 208. The only thing we didn't see a whole lot of movement on was the money line. OKC opened up $1.55. They moved up 5 cents to $1.60. And at the moment, just 25% of the handle is shaded toward the Pistons. If you like Detroit to cover in this one, patience will certainly be your best friend. Look to catch another half a point or so by tip-off because of that public action. Detroit's been a really good covering team when catching points this year. 15-8 ATS as the underdog, 60% covering as the official home underdog. They've also been great against a number when facing winning ball clubs. This Detroit squad is covering a solid 73% of their games versus teams over 500. They're facing a Thunder ball club who's really struggled laying the points on the road. Just 6 covers in 19 games as the official road favorite. OKC also has struggled in their games at the current number. Just 33% covering in games that tipped off at the current point spread. 3-1 to the over in Oklahoma's last 4. 3-1 to the under in Detroit's last 4 themselves. No play on a total here for me. I am definitely looking forward to taking advantage of OKC's sub-400 record against the spread overall, though. All told, I'm going to buy it up and take the Detroit Pistons plus 12 as the first pick in my 8-point super teaser. Next game I have for you, it is going to be another game with lots of line movement in the early going here. Orlando at Indiana, 7 o'clock East, Bankers Life Fieldhouse. The betting opened up with the Pacers as the 7.5-point favorites. No surprises there. Total opened at 217.5. Since the markets opened this one up, though, the Orlando Magic actually took a lot of early action, and for what reason, I have no idea. We'll get to that in about 15 seconds. But anyway, the early bettors heavily faded Indiana. That's going to move the Pacers down to a 5.5-point lay on the spread. Meanwhile, the under betting public has moved the line all the way down to an even 213 flat. 4.5-point swing on the total there. Not sure where this one will close out at, but certainly a lot of movement on the handle in this seemingly uninteresting game. Well, that's not what the bettors are thinking. And if you are betting in this one and you're leaning toward the Magic, just keep in mind that these guys have dropped 2 of their last 3 and are covering just 40% of their games overall for the year. Even worse, Orlando's covered just 33% of their games that tipped off at the current number, meanwhile going 0-2 against the spread in their pair of head-to-head matchups with the Pacers. And speaking of the Pacers, that's a really nice segue, by the way. Speaking of the Pacers, they've successfully covered the number in their last 2 straight. Indiana's also 65% when laying the points, and a very impressive 75% in games that tipped off at the current point spread. 3-1 to the under in the Pacers' last 4, 4-0 to the under in Orlando's last 4 themselves. If you're following the money and leaning toward a popular play on the total in this one, I certainly couldn't find you at fault. But when it comes to the number, I have got to exploit the fact that Orlando's covered just 10 of 29 versus teams allowing over 102 a game. All that in mind, I'm so excited. I'm going to buy it up and take Indiana plus 2.5 as the second pick of my 8-pointer. Next and final game, Washington at the Atlanta Hawks. Heavy lean toward the Wizards in this one. I'll get to that in just a second. Washington opened 4.5, now 6. Total open 213 down to 212 flat. And at the moment, a staggering 81% of the betting public is backing the Washington Wizards with their hard-earned money. Just 19% backing the Hawks. And to be honest with you, I'm 100% with those folks, the unpopular, the sharps, the not so square, if you will. Atlanta against the spread is 3-2 in their last 5, 5-3 in their last 8, and a ridiculous 80% covering in the second game of a back-to-back. They're facing a Washington squad who's just downright bad for business if you've been betting them, just 1-9 against the spread in their last 10. Washington's also found it very difficult to get the job done for their backers when facing losing ball clubs. The Wizards are covering a measly 20% of their games, facing sub-500 teams. 3-1 to the over in Washington's last 4, 4-0 to the under in Atlanta's last 4 themselves. No play on the total here from me, but what I will do is totally exploit the fact that the Washington Wizards are covering a sickly, anemic 10% of their games that tipped off at the current point spread. How is that even possible? All that said, I'm going to once again buy it up and take the home team, Atlanta Hawks, plus 14 as the final pick of my 3-teamer. That is going to do it for me for Brock Page Productions. I'm Brock Page. And have yourself a positive day.